Live from the Buffalo Wild Wings studios, it's time to get locked into the best Sooner recruiting and football news with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
Back in the saddle, baby. Mr. Singleton. It's been almost 2 weeks since we did the show together.
I mentioned that yesterday.
How you feeling?
I'm good. Vacation?
Where were you last week?
On vacation. I was in San Antonio.
Oh, you were in San Antonio, huh?
Yeah, me and one of my buddies took a impromptu trip. We just wanted to get out of Oklahoma for a minute.
And you chose San Antonio?
That was my buddy's idea.
Mm.
It was a good time though. It was humid as hell all week.
Did you run into any of Charles Barkley's big old San Antonio women?
I'm so glad you brought that up because I took some picture. We took flicks and whatnot, and I was thinking about my caption for the IG post to be Charles Barkley wasn't wrong. I am so glad you brought that up.
Oh my goodness.
Will I actually end up doing that? No, but I am glad you brought that up and not me.
Oh, the show brought to you today and every day by Dorsey Jones GMC out in El Reno. A low-pressure sales environment, fantastic service advisors, half-price oil changes on Saturdays. Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno has it all. Go check them out. We appreciate their partnership here on Locked In. Now, we talk mostly OU football and recruiting for this hour every single day. Lord knows we're going to trail off into random BS as well from time to time because that's just what we do. And guess what, Grayson? As of today, there are no sports for the next 2 months. At least not here.
It really is that time of year.
At least not at the University of Oklahoma. I guess there's Thunder basketball for those of you that care about that for however long the NBA Finals lasts. But the real sports drought has arrived.
As an NBA hater, are you going to pay attention to the NBA Finals?
I will pay attention to the NBA Finals, yes.
Okay.
Do I really care what the outcome of the NBA Finals is? No, I do not.
I figure such.
Right now they're on ESPN on the NBA Today talking about the fact that the Knicks just fired Tom Thibodeau because apparently getting to the conference finals in the NBA isn't even good enough sometimes.
I heard you and Steely talking about
what
that.
What an obnoxious league.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, Dwayne Casey won a Coach of the Year in Toronto and then was promptly fired. If teams feel like they've peaked with you, they will fire you because the worst thing in the NBA is being mediocre. It is better to be bad in the NBA than be mediocre.
Doesn't like everybody make the playoffs now, though?
I mean, damn near.
It's what, 30 teams in the league and 20 of them make the postseason?
I mean, if you count the play-in, yes.
Jeez,
which is
man.
Bananas, by the way, when you put it that way.
I know, it's really stupid. Really stupid. A lot of things are stupid about the NBA, but we're not here to talk about that. OU has their first official visit weekend coming up, Grayson. They hosted their first elite camp Sunday. They host their second elite camp Thursday. And on the heels of that, on Friday, they will welcome, how many official visitors to town? There have been some that have been added. There have been some that have dropped off the list. I'm going to do a quick count here. So for the weekend of June 6th through 8th, this coming weekend, it appears as though Oklahoma has 19 scheduled official visitors. Pretty solid tally. Pretty outstanding talent showing up to Norman. One commit, 4-star Bryant, Arkansas linebacker Ja'Cory Smith, who's going to be in town with his teammate, 3-star defensive end Matthew Nelson. I'm sure you talked about him yesterday on the show. Was it you and Machine Gun McComas yesterday?
No, it was me and BG.
Oh, okay. Got you. So I'm sure you dug into the fact that Matthew Nelson just randomly showed up to camp on Sunday.
He did.
He was supposed to OV to Tulsa over the weekend. Needless to say, that did not happen. He was at the University of Oklahoma to camp and spend time around the staff. Very first trip to Oklahoma for Matthew Nelson. Got some in-person coaching from Miguel Chavis. Didn't get the chance to fully participate because he had an iffy hip. I guess he had tweaked it at the end of his track season, which he still won state in both the 100-meter hurdles and the 300-meter hurdles. Or I guess 110-meter hurdles is what it is. But didn't get to do one-on-ones. Unfortunate that we were deprived of the chance to see what he looked like in one-on-one competition. But I'll tell you, Grayson, Matthew Nelson's younger brother, he's a player too. It would not shock me if that's a dude that's on OU's radar next year at this time, and himself is taking an OV to the University of Oklahoma with designs on committing.
It's interesting. The whole Matthew Nelson situation has piqued my interest because Oklahoma's offered him, but nobody else has followed suit.
Pretty much.
We had this conversation, I believe, about Ben Wenzel when Oklahoma was his most prestigious offer, and then Wisconsin just jumped into the fray almost immediately after, and then ultimately ended up locking him down. But the fact that his most prestigious offer outside of Oklahoma is Cincinnati, pretty much, for Matthew Nelson, and he's kind of hot and cold with Cincinnati, that kind of raises a red flag to me. He's a good player, don't get me wrong. Good traits, athletic, and all that. He's 6'5", built pretty nicely, too. He's a little slender right now. But is it kind of weird that nobody else has followed suit here after Oklahoma has gotten into the mix?
Okay, yes and no. Yes, in the sense that, okay, if you are the University of Oklahoma and you're trying to recruit elite talent at the University of Oklahoma, you expect year in, year out that you're going to have to vie with other top-tier P4 suitors for a kid like that. But also, it's very clear, and we've discussed this, when you look at Matthew Nelson, the football player, and you look at his athletic profile, and you look at what he brings to the table, what he has done, what he has put on tape, it's a projection. Right?
Oh,
like
hands down.
He had 2 sacks as a junior. At 6'5", 212, state champion hurdler, like, okay, you love the athletic base that you have there. He broad jumped to 10.4 when he was at OU on Sunday. So, clearly, this dude's a superior athlete. It just hasn't been reflected in production on the gridiron yet. What Oklahoma's counting on is that he will get to campus, develop for a year or two, and become a monster football player as opposed to just a monster athlete. I understand why so many other P4 schools have been hesitant to get involved with Matthew Nelson because the production just isn't there, right? And so that's why at the top of the offer sheet for Nelson, yeah, you see Oklahoma, but then you see Tulane and Cincinnati and Tulsa. Generally, those aren't the schools you're going toe-to-toe with for recruits. But hey, man, recruiting and evaluation is an inexact science, and this is why I've repeatedly said, at least for the 2026 cycle, I am willing to reserve all judgment and just see what kind of magic Jim Nagy can work. A great parallel, and I don't know how much of a parallel it is in actuality, but you think back to a guy like John Mateer at the high school level. 2-star, flew way under the radar in DFW, was committed to Central Arkansas, Washington State, kind of got a load of what he was doing down there at Little Elm High School and decided, you know what, we'll go and flip this guy. And they did. And he wound up at Washington State. It was his only FBS offer. He got paid a lot of money to transfer to the University of Oklahoma this past offseason. So just goes to show you, right? Sometimes those under-the-radar guys can indeed turn into really good football players. Now, is every speculative take that Oklahoma pursues going to wind up being John Mateer? No, absolutely not. There are plenty of lower-rated guys over the years that Oklahoma has gone out of their way to recruit, and they've banked on the athleticism, and they've banked on the traits and whatever, and it hasn't panned out. It doesn't always pan out. But certainly the hope with Matthew Nelson and the hope with Jim Nagy, to a greater extent, is that you're better equipped now to identify the true under-the-radar gems as opposed to just throwing darts at the crowd of 3 stars and hoping you hit on a few.
And that's a good way to look at it. And also, the point cannot be overstated that this is a project. This isn't a guy that's going to have a great impact in year 2. Like, this could be a 3-year thing before we see Matthew Nelson in real game situations. Or, by the way, you could never see him in real game situations because he doesn't develop as much as you hoped to where he can produce at the SEC level. Maybe he is a guy that ends up over time at a Tulane or something like that. You never know. But it's very strange because football in particular, basketball kind of works like this too, but football in particular, a very traits-driven game. And when you see athleticism like we have talked about with Matthew Nelson, and you see the size and you see the potential, usually a lot of people will jump at that, even though the production hasn't been there so far. So the question now and the angle now is, why is Oklahoma the only one? Why is Jim Nagy the only one? Because it's not as if Oklahoma is the only guy with a Jim Nagy that is operating the personnel department. Now, Jim Nagy is a unique guy because of the Senior Bowl and whatnot, but Oklahoma's not the only team with the GM. So why is Oklahoma?
Oklahoma never gets involved with Matthew Nelson, and he commits to Tulane. But you like Sam Nelson. You want to keep an eye on him. He has a really impressive junior year, and you throw an offer his way. Do you really worry about a school like Tulane having the inside track just because they got involved with his brother as well and got his commitment?
No.
I don't think it's quite that. Like, I think
but here's the way I'm looking at this though, Parker. If you sign the older brother, or at least you get you're the standout for the older brother who none of the other team or none of the other schools that are at the level of Oklahoma are offering him.
Uh-huh.
That gives you an inside track to perhaps the one that you want later. Because if you're going to, like you said, you think Sam could be a blue chipper. So that means you're going to fight with the Floridas of the world, the Arkansas of the world, maybe LSU, Alabama, Ohio State, whatever. You want every kind of advantage that you could get. And rostering and offering the older of the two could certainly give you that inside advantage, potentially. If you get what I'm putting down.
I do, but I think here's the greater reason why that doesn't quite track.
Okay.
Oklahoma's gone 6-7 2 of the last 3 years. They're in a position where they can't hand out roster spots to anybody who doesn't deserve it.
And I'm not saying Matthew doesn't deserve it, by the way.
No,
don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not insinuating that.
But I guess the point I'm making is they think Matthew Nelson's going to be a good football player.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they would not be accommodating him on their roster for the 2026 season because they can't afford to. And heck, if you show up and you're not good and you can't play and you're not developing and they don't feel like you're going anywhere, they will tell you to walk the plank.
That is true.
Sometimes very expeditiously. There are guys that have been, and I hate to use the word dismissed, but that's more or less what it is. There are guys that have been told to leave after 1 year at Oklahoma. There are plenty of guys that have been told to leave after 2 years at Oklahoma. Because of the era in which we live. And because of the demands, the instant gratification demands of everything that is the college football machine with NIL at the heart of all of it. You can't afford to roster guys long-term that aren't making an impact.
That's fair.
Yeah. 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Let's go there on the other side. We'll talk about a few more of the official visitors that are due in town for Oklahoma this weekend, and we will hit some of those texts on the other side. You're listening to The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Keep it right here.
Now that open enrollment for healthcare coverage has ended, there's still several options to consider that just might benefit you. Need to purchase your own health insurance? Confused about Medicare? Considering offering benefits to your employees? Call the agents at Allison Insurance, featuring 70-plus years of combined insurance business experience. They're able to help clients avoid mistakes when purchasing individual or group health insurance. Call Allison Insurance at 800-580-5587 or 745-2968. They are the experts.
Considering refinancing your mortgage? Now might be the perfect time to start planning. With rates on the move, Stride Bank can help you determine if you may be able to lower your monthly payments, shorten your loan term, or tap into your home's equity. Stride's expert mortgage advisors will work with you to tailor a solution that fits your needs. With local roots and national reach, Stride Bank is your go-to partner for all your banking needs. Stride Bank, your trusted financial partner since 1913. Find out more at stridebank.com. Stride Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Riverwind is bringing the heat this June at OKC's favorite casino.
So get the party started with the hottest jackpots in town.
Book a stay at our hotel for a weekend of fun with friends.
Win like an all-star on your go-to games.
Grab a bite and a bev at one of our fabulous eateries.
Go for gold with your wild card and play for your chance at $80,000 in our Sunshine Riches giveaway.
For the best summer yet and unforgettable good times, make it Riverwinds.
The Athletes Unlimited Softball League is coming to Norman June 20th through the 23rd at Love Spilled. Watch these legendary AUSL pro softball players on the Volts and Talons compete, including Sis Bates, Montana Fouts, and Oklahoma's own Tiare Jennings and Sydney Romero. To learn more about the Bandits, Talons, Blaze, and Volts, go to theausl.com and get your tickets today. AUSL, this is legendary.
For the professional, it's not enough to just possess knowledge. That's why at GMC, we seek to refine it, to wield its power, to redefine its boundaries, while pushing the limits. And we put this knowledge to the test in every GMC Sierra by engineering each one to outperform your expectations. So you know you're getting precision and durability when you need it most. And that's what makes the GMC Sierra the truck worth knowing. We are professional grade. See your Oklahoma GMC dealers.
Hey, Mike Steely here for my good friends at Cavens Group. Spring temperatures are here and the threat of severe storms loom. Are you ready? Cavens can help you with water intrusion and inspections for mold. Also spring cleanup and yard cleanup with their 12-foot dumpsters. Don't wait for the water to expose your problems. Get ahead of it today with Cavens Group Spring Checkup. Call them today at 405-573-3048 or visit cavensgroup.com.
Dreaming of your own backyard oasis? Be the envy of your neighborhood and let Signature Custom Pools help you create the perfect poolside paradise. Their professional design expertise can transport you into your own Mystic Falls, suburban sanctuary, or Mediterranean retreat. Settle into an endless vacation, entertain your family, friends, and get the signature touch with Signature Custom Pools. Call them for a free consultation at 405-898-9098 or visit them online at signaturecustompools.com today.
Life is yours to spend. Spend it making more money. Spend it making more memories. Spend it learning a new skill. Spend it teaching an old trick. Spend it career climbing. Spend it mountain climbing. First United Bank. Spend life wisely.
You got internet in there, Grayson? Because I don't.
I do.
Interesting. Somehow the internet is out in half of the building. Drake, fix this.
Nah, I'm chilling over here.
Oh, that's good. At least we have one way to access the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Oh, look, it's Drake. He flipped me off. Ridiculous. I didn't think I would ever have to say this.
Oh, no.
But please, all of you that make up our listening audience every single day, and we love all of you that do, but please please never get romantically involved with ChatGPT?
Huh?
I saw a tweet earlier today. And apparently this is like a thing where ChatGPT has a girlfriend mode or something.
Oh, God.
Where it'll talk to you like you're in a relationship with it.
You're joking.
And there are people that actually do it. Somebody posted a photo over another individual's shoulder on a subway or a train or something, bus maybe. And they're having this lengthy, borderline inappropriate conversation with ChatGPT. This is what society has come to, Grayson. Steely was right about everything.
To the grown men out there, because I'm pretty sure 95% of the people doing this are men, go out somewhere and approach women.
It's not that hard.
Good God, it is not that hard.
It's not that hard.
With ChatGPT, oh my gosh.
I Bleed Crimson on the text line says, our world is going to you-know-what in a handbasket, and ain't that the truth?
At this point. Did you see? Tinder made a bunch of changes or a bunch of updates that were going around Twitter like all last week. And one of them was like, I guess there's a height filter now that women can use to like set a height preference. But also there's like joint Tinder accounts. So I guess
joint Tinder accounts?
Yeah.
How does this work?
I don't know if it's like for getting two-mans or something or like what's going on, but the internet and dating world is such a strange place now.
Yes, it is, folks. Don't date using the internet. This is my encouragement to society as a whole.
I forgot you've never used a dating app before.
No, I never have and never would.
I thought you were about to say never will. I was like, I hope not.
Oh, my goodness. Kyle in Broken Bow says, hey, babe, just wanted to say I love you. ChatGPT. Jay from Medill says, this new generation, kid, Dad, the Wi-Fi's out. Dad flips son off. That was basically the interaction between me and Drake. I told Drake the Wi-Fi was out. Drake walked around the corner and flipped me off.
Johnny H. said, maybe it's not that hard is the problem.
Oh, no. Oh, no. We're going to have to get this show back on track. We're losing control quickly. Okay, folks. So, official visitors coming this week by the truckload. 19 of them confirmed right now. That number obviously subject to change. But I think the most consequential one, without question, is Bowe Bentley, right? I mean, it's the one we've been talking about for weeks, months even. Oklahoma's going to get their shot at Bowe Bentley. And let's start with the obvious here, Grayson. He did not commit to LSU while on his official visit in Baton Rouge. This is unambiguously good news because the feeling from the OU side is, and has been, as long as LSU doesn't convince him to shut it down before he comes up to Norman, we like our chances. And Oklahoma does like their chances going into this weekend with Bowe Bentley. I have been told, and I quote, that they have one hell of an OV plan lined up for him. You got the fandom components. OU's going to tug at the heartstrings. You know what it reminds me of, too? You know what it really reminds me of? And I think this comparison became all the more potent when I was told, hey, even if Bowe Bentley commits to LSU, we're going to keep recruiting him. We're going to keep pushing. And once we win some games this fall, we'll count on being able to flip him. I don't know where Bowe Bentley is going to commit on the other side of this OV to Oklahoma. But I do know that if it is LSU, the Sooners are not going to consider the process over. They're not going to concede defeat and move on, which makes me feel, and this is going back a couple years now, makes me observe some parallels to the Dylan Raiola situation.
Ooh.
Now, if you aren't familiar with it or weren't familiar with it at the time, obviously Dylan Raiola was a program great at the University of Nebraska. Or Dylan Raiola's father was a program great at the University of Nebraska. Played there in the late 90s, ended up playing 15 seasons in the NFL.
Offensive lineman.
He was a center for the Detroit Lions for the longest time, Dominic Raiola.
Yep.
And so Dylan grew up a Nebraska fan. But at various points in his recruitment, he was committed to Ohio State and then Georgia. He was committed to Georgia for a long time. It wasn't until right before signing day that he wound up flipping to Nebraska. But I can recall mentioning it at the time because I'd known and covered Dylan Raiola since the very beginning of his sophomore year in high school. Fall of 2021, I actually went down to watch him in person. He was at Burleson High School in Texas at the time. And you just could tell. You could tell that Nebraska pulled at his heartstrings in a way that no other school did because he'd grown up a diehard Nebraska football fan. And one of the things he always cited, even before he committed, was, man, how cool would it be to be the guy that shows up and helps restore Nebraska to glory? Because he never watched it growing up, right? The entirety of the time that Dylan Raiola was a child/adolescent, Nebraska was terrible. All he had to look back on was VHS tapes of the dominant teams of the 90s, some of which his dad played on, that won national championships. And so even though he was committed to Georgia for the vast majority of that 2024 cycle and had no real reason to walk away from his commitment to Georgia, in the final days before it came time to sign, he felt that tug on his heartstrings that he had been suppressing for the longest time throughout the process, and it became undeniable. I got to go to Nebraska. It's been my dream. I want to be part of the resurgence at this program, and I'm going to do it because I can. Nebraska had a quarterback committed already. They weren't going to say no to Dylan Raiola. No one was. He could have called anybody on signing day and had a spot at whatever institution he wanted. So for Bowe Bentley, it does make me wonder, given how much he and his folks love the University of Oklahoma, and they do, even if he commits to LSU in June, who's to say that holds all the way until signing day? What if Oklahoma starts hot in the 2025 season behind Ben Arbuckle and John Mateer? What if they go 5-0, 6-0 to start the campaign? They got some juice. What if, if the race is still undecided at that point, what if OU welcomes LSU to Norman in November and beats them? That'd be a pretty effective recruiting pitch if you're still going after a kid that's verbally committed to LSU by that point. But I'll tell you, Grayson, I know OU, on the OU side, there's confidence about what they're going to be able to accomplish with Bowe Bentley this weekend on his official visit. And so, naturally, look, I'm an OU guy. I cover the University of Oklahoma. The intel that I collect is probably always going to be slanted a little bit towards OU, but I feel like even a neutral observer, with the knowledge that you have that childhood fandom aspect of the Bentley recruitment, would give the edge to OU here.
Well, a lot of your neutral observer coworkers at Rivals would say otherwise, and we litigated that yesterday.
Really?
Yes, we did talk about that.
What have said coworkers at Rivals published / voiced?
We went through Sam Spiegelman's article.
Oh, okay.
About
Gotcha.
Bentley's visit yesterday. So Spiegelman still has him going to LSU, I believe. At this point, I don't know. Flip a coin. That's where I'm at with this. Look, the LSU visit went good for Bentley. He liked it. Cool. Oklahoma, what you got? That's the way I'm looking at this. What is going to be your pitch? How are you going to execute it? What is it going to look like with the other 18 official visitors, which certainly will have an impact? And does the pitch of the soul mission and things like that further solidify to him that this is the spot for me? He already wants to be here. We know that. That's been well chronicled. Can you seal the deal? And if you are an effective salesman, if you know somebody wants to be there, you'll seal the deal and get it done. That's the way I look at it now. But until they do that, flip a coin. I don't know. I don't know where he's going to go because it makes sense for him to go to either spot.
When I mentioned that OU had, and I quote, a hell of an OV plan lined up for Bentley, somebody in the text line says, so you're showing OU will show him where the hoe's at. I don't think Bentley is particularly interested in that.
Here. He's going to be a quarterback at either Oklahoma or LSU. He's not going to have to look very far for that.
No, he's got a girlfriend who went with him on the LSU OV last week. So.
Oh, okay.
I don't think LSU was playing that card either with the girlfriend in town.
Probably a good idea not to.
Reformed Homer says, is it a 1980s SMU level plan for his official visits? I don't think they're going to be giving him a Bentley, although that would be kind of cool. They should work it into his photo shoot. They should work it into his photo shoot.
We just stumbled across something here.
Yeah.
Doesn't that seem like more of an LSU kind of thing to do, though?
It does. They missed an opportunity.
They really did.
I got to go look back at the OV photo shoot. If they didn't set up photos of him next to a Bentley, I don't know what they were doing.
I think there have been a ton of misses here if nobody does that.
Hang on. Well, at least among the pictures he posted, no Bentley photo.
And I guarantee you if there was one, he would have posted it. Or he could be keeping it in the vault for the commitment announcement.
A verified source says, Pole Assassin going to be in town?
Oh, my goodness.
Drew from Firemount says, I wonder how he feels about the distance from Celina to Norman. Way shorter distance than Celina to Baton Rouge. That's it is
very true.
I mean, Celina is one of the northernmost suburbs of DFW, right? So you are literally looking at 2 hours and change to Norman.
Yes.
Unless you hit traffic and or construction, which, let's face it, you're driving I-35. Very solid chance. But absent traffic and or construction, you can make that trek in 2 hours. Glenn from Nashville says, since girlfriends are undefeated, does his girlfriend prefer LSU or over OU? Do we know? Well, I tell you this much, Glenn. In this context, in this scenario, the girlfriend factor matters not at all. 0%. And here's why. Because his girlfriend is going to the University of Texas next year.
Oh, this is something.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
So, I don't think look, if you're in Austin, right, basically it's for all intents and purposes equidistant from Austin to Norman, Austin to Baton Rouge. At least offhand, I believe that's the case. I guess I've never gone Austin to Baton Rouge specifically, but there's not a whole lot of discrepancy in the distance there. So I can't imagine the girlfriend is going to have a strong preference as to where he goes.
If she's going to Texas, I feel like there is a strong preference as to at least where not to go.
And there may be. But who knows, man. Again, Bentley's family, big OU people, and have been. His dad's handle on Twitter is @Sooners0.
Is it really?
Yes. Big OU people. Hoping that's the trump card. If you're OU, you're hoping that's the trump card.
Real quickly before we go to break, Cool Mo J says, question, if you're dating the Chat GPT and the internet goes down, are you being stood up on a date?
This is a vein of philosophy into which I never imagined this show would have to delve. But here we are. What have we become as a people, man? 405-651-3439. 651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. More OU football and recruiting talk ahead as we continue to preview the official visit weekend to come for the Sooners. Keep it here on the Ref. We'll be back.
Do you eat, sleep, and breathe Sooner football? We do too. This is the Ref, home of Sooner fans.
That twinge in your knee isn't going to wait until Monday, and neither do we. At Orthostat, we've expanded, so you get better hours, better facilities, and the same great care. Open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., 7 days a week. Whether it's sprains, strains, fractures, or joint pain, from knuckles to knees and every joint in between, our same-day, affordable care gets you back to life faster. Visit OuchOrthostat.com to learn more.
Change is coming, Ref Army. From the voice of the Sooners on the rush every day for the triple option.
We've landed on the triple option, and I'm excited.
To the Plank Show, taking over your morning drive from 6 to 9.
Every single radio person, what they want to do is they want to do a morning show.
And the addition of Darinoka from 9 to noon.
While remembering that Oklahoma is top dog, I want to bring an SEC perspective.
Whether it's yesterday, today, or tomorrow, no one covers the Sooners like we do. The Ref Sports Radio Network.
At Confidence Ford of Norman, we believe in living up to our name. Our commitment to confidence is in everything we do. Whether you're searching for the perfect vehicle from our extensive selection of new Ford models or pre-owned cars, our dedicated team will help you every step of the way. Because with us, you're family. We're conveniently located at 825 North Interstate Drive. Confidence Ford of Norman, a Cavender Auto family dealership where confidence is Cavender.
Want to have a cool summer? Well, get ready now. Tune up your summer comfort and savings with an AC tune-up from OG&E. And the coolest thing? It's available at no out-of-pocket cost to you. An AC tune-up will reduce your cooling costs, make your home more comfortable, and boost your AC unit's energy efficiency by up to 30%. How cool is that? Sign up today at oge.com/efficiency and stay cool all summer long.
Hi, everybody. Toby Rowland here for one of my favorite places to golf, the Trails Golf Club in Norman. The Trails offers great golf activities for the entire family. Men's and Ladies Golf Association events, summer junior golf for the kids, plus club fittings throughout the year. The Trails also has great family social events, monthly special dinners, plus holiday brunches and catering. When you're looking for the perfect place to golf, check out the Trails Golf Club in Norman. Contact Zane Alexander today at 405-364-3790 or visit trailsgolf.com.
Childhood cancer is devastating, but childhood cancer is beatable with St. Jude. I knew that St. Jude was a children's hospital, that no one ever received a bill from St. Jude, but I in no way understood how completely they take care of their patients and their families. To any of the donors, I would say bless you and thank you, because without the donors, St. Jude wouldn't be here.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Every year, millions of pets go missing, leaving families heartbroken. If you lose or find a pet, Love Lost is here to help. Our free, easy-to-use database uses photo matching technology across multiple social media platforms to bring lost pets home. Just upload a photo and quickly search the largest national lost and found pet database. Let's unite to reunite, because every lost pet deserves to find their way home. Register today at lovelost.org.
Hey y'all, I'm Blake Shelton. Being from Oklahoma, I know a thing or two about natural disasters. Tornadoes are common where I'm from and have affected my life and the lives of people I care about. No matter where you live, be aware of the dangers in your area and have a plan. You can create an emergency kit, come up with an evacuation plan, and know where to seek shelter. You never know when a disaster may hit. These simple steps can help save a life. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Air Force.
Drake has fixed the internet. It's a triumphant afternoon in the Buffalo Wild Wings studios. Shout out to Drake Dykin. Parker Thune, Grayson, Singleton here with you, wrapping up Locked In on a Tuesday. It feels like a Monday to me because yesterday felt like a Sunday because I wasn't here. I have to keep reminding myself it's not Monday but Tuesday.
My whole clock was in complete disarray last week because I was off all last week. So I didn't come into work since last Friday. And then you had Memorial Day week. You had Memorial Day, which is on Monday.
Uh-huh.
And that bled into Tuesday, and then I left to go to San Antonio on Wednesday. So the whole thing was kind of messed up. I mean, I went out on a Sunday night because I didn't have work on Monday, and then Monday was off. Everything was wild.
Nacogdoches Sooner on the text line says, it's a lot further from Austin to Baton Rouge than Austin to Norman. 6.5 hours versus 4 hours. It is not 4 hours from Norman to Austin. Absolutely
there's no way.
Not. Absolutely not. I have made that drive enough times to know that you're looking at close to 6 hours. I don't think it's quite 6 hours. And I don't know if, like, Apple Maps would tell you it's quite 6 hours. But practically speaking, consider the fact that you have to drive through the entirety of DFW to get from Austin to Norman or Norman to Austin. If it was 4 hours from Norman to Austin, trust me, I'd be making that trip down there for P. Terry's chocolate chip cookies a lot more frequently than I do.
Drew from Flower Mound says Austin to Baton Rouge is about 6.5 hours, while Austin to Norman is about 5.5 hours.
Okay, there you go.
Which makes a lot more sense.
Yep. Okay.
Because Norman to San Antonio is just over 6.
Mm-hmm. Everest says lived in Austin for 18 years. The fastest I ever made was 5:29. I can believe it. Again, it usually it typically takes me in the neighborhood of 6 hours. A 405 listener says, use Waze or Google Maps. Way better interface. Yeah, listen, I've been an Apple Maps loyalist for close to a decade. I'm on the verge of making the switch because have any of you experienced this? I'm genuinely curious. Apple Maps recently has started to do this thing where it will take me off of an interstate or like a major highway onto a frontage road and then drop me right back onto the highway or interstate
for no reason.
For no reason whatsoever.
Don't get me started.
For no reason.
Don't get me started with that. Also, I think Waze picks up speed traps a lot better than Apple Maps does.
Don't got to worry about that if you're not speeding though. Which everybody speeds in Texas, so
I was about to say
it's pretty inconsequential.
I am still from Texas.
A 405 listener says, we have John Mateer. Hopefully that goes a long ways toward pitching Bowe Bentley this weekend. I tell you, man, I don't know how well those two know each other, but I know there is a relationship there. And again, if you look at what my former colleagues over at 24/7 Sports think of Bowe Bentley as a prospect, their literal comparison is John Mateer. So Ben Arbuckle has a pretty convincing sell. Hey, come be the next John Mateer. You already fit the mold. We don't have to shoehorn you. Just come be what John Mateer is. And then you hope, obviously, that Mateer is really freaking good this fall. Because that's what the sell is kind of contingent upon.
I was about to say, if John Mateer isn't good, then you've got a problem with that one.
A 713 listener says, definitely slow sports season, LOL. Yes, we've talked about chat GPT relationships today. Drew from Plymouth says, John Mateer has flow, so does Bentley, and they're from the same area. Recruiting Boomer says, LMAO if you're not speeding. Come on, P. Yeah, okay. Yes, I know everyone functionally speeds. Technically, everyone speeds.
Oh,
no one is actually driving the speed limit.
Not everybody.
What I'm saying is, I'm not going 25 over the limit like some of y'all.
Okay, even I don't do that.
There are people who do, man. I tell you, driving up I-35 last night, there was somebody that flew by me doing, had to have been 110, at least. And not even for just like a spurt either, till they were out of my view on the horizon. They were doing like 110.
I mean, I've gotten to triple digits coming up here from Dallas. Not for that sustained amount of time. Also, why would you not go that fast? on I-35 coming back up here. There's nothing.
There is nothing. However, there are cops everywhere.
I guess by the grace of God, I've never run into one.
I guess not. I drove past probably 7, 8 vehicles at least that had gotten pulled over and were actively in the midst of traffic stops.
Oh, my goodness.
On I-35 last night. Okay, so couple things to note here going into this weekend's official visits. Obviously, we've talked about Bowe Bentley. We've talked about Matthew Nelson. We've talked about Ja'Cory Smith. There's a commitment date on the schedule, June 11th. June 11th for 3-star defensive tackle Tavian Branch out of Pennsylvania. What you can conclude here, and I've sourced it, it is the truth, so you would infer it to be true, and it is indeed true. It's not going to be Penn State for Tavian Branch. For the longest time, his recruitment has been in effect down to 3 schools: Oklahoma, Rutgers, Penn State. I cannot recall ever covering a heads-up recruiting battle between Oklahoma and Rutgers, Grayson, but here we are. Tavian Branch will commit on June 11th. He announced that yesterday. What complicates things is that he announced the commitment date yesterday, fresh off the Rutgers OV. However, the commitment date itself falls right on the heels of the Oklahoma OV. So it begs the question, does he know it's Rutgers? Does he know it's Oklahoma? Or does he simply know that he's going to know after this OU official and very quickly thereafter?
I think it's a little bit of the first and the third, given that it's right after Oklahoma. I talked to you about this earlier today. My interpretation of that, and I could be wrong. This is just the way I interpret it. I wonder if he's leaning Rutgers, but wants to give Oklahoma the chance. Hey, blow me away and I'll come. Because obviously Oklahoma is the more prestigious program, the more historically relevant program, sure. Anybody would love to go play for Oklahoma and play for a defensive coach in Brent Venables. I know Greg Schiano's a defensive coach up there at Rutgers. But I bet you he's kind of leaning Rutgers given that it's closer to home. But if Oklahoma blows him away and he knows right off the bat after he leaves Norman that, hey, this is the spot, I'll be ready to commit. To me, that's the way I'm understanding this in my guess.
We'll have to see what happens with Tavian Branch. OU, Rutgers. How often you get one of those battles, folks. It's what makes recruiting fun. Even in the modern era where some of y'all think, oh, every kid is just bought. Nope. It's always a little bit of spice come OV season. Keeps it all entertaining. Will it be OU or Rutgers for Tavian Branch? And I will say, on the money side of things, Rutgers does have some of it. Like, they ain't broke. I don't know how many folks understand or realize that Rutgers has some solid money to play with, but they do. By the way, found this out over the weekend. This is crazy. We've talked about Celina Moa before, the 4-star safety from the state of Utah that's OVing with Oklahoma this weekend. I found this out, and I was like, yep, give me that dude. And I was already 100% sold on him from the time I saw him at OV7 in Dallas back in February, I think. All in on Celina Moa. I am all in now. I found out his dad is the bare knuckle fighting champion of the world.
I'm sorry, what?
Bare knuckle.
Huh.
That is a different breed of cat.
Yeah, no kidding.
Bare knuckle fighting? Anybody
champion
that has
of the world?
Anybody that has that in their bloodline, I would like playing defense at the University of Oklahoma.
What? That's something.
I don't know which way that recruitment's going to go. But I know he and his folks really, really like Oklahoma. And he's OVing this weekend. Maybe Brandon Hall has an out-of-nowhere pull in him. A 405 listener says that requires a proper amount of crazy.
Yes.
I like it.
Yes.
Yeah, no joke. I think he played college football at Utah as well. As a fullback, I want to say. This is going back a ways. But bare-knuckle fighting champion of the world. How insane is that?
That's one of those things that people do and get really good at, and my only response to that is why. It's like, why? What kind of gratification do you get from this?
Oh, by the way, last detail before we call it a day here on Locked In. Drew from Flower Mound says, I have an early ref recruiter of the month. Jenny B. Got a 27 5-star.
She
yeah,
did.
Finley Chaston.
Finley Chaston, yep.
Yeah, from DFW. Another 5-star pickup for Jenny B and company.
They're doing work.
Is Oklahoma going to be a serious contender for a women's basketball national title here in the next few years? The answer may very well be yes. They got the right coach. I think that much is clear. All right, folks. That's all she wrote for this installment of Locked In on a Tuesday. For Grayson Singleton, I am Parker Thune. Thanks for coming along with us today. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. And in the meantime, stay right here on The Ref. Tyler McComas and Teddy Lehman have The Rush on the other side.